Okay, this is me after taking a million thumbnails and wearing a toque in the middle of summer when it's a sauna in this room because my hair was just looking really weird and I'm waiting for it to grow out because the bangs are just looking a bit silly. Like it looks a little bit better not in the thumbnail, but in the thumbnail it was just looking really gross to me and weird, so I just had to put this on, but I think we're gonna take that off now. And there was someone waiting in the queue for the live, and I said this, I think the last live, how awkward it is. I don't know what happens because I take new thumbnails and I'm like, if people are waiting for the live, do they still see the thumbnail or something? And it's like keeps changing to a million different photos because I'm just sitting there taking a million photos of myself. But anyway, we need to get started, but I'm just stressed and nervous to talk about politics and stuff because it is very polarizing and it's yeah, in the West people know what's going on. It's just very divisive and very cancel culture and things like that at times. So but I did want to just talk about what happened and everything, my thoughts on different aspects of it, and like the media, the whole media thing and the hypocrisy there, and just it's just so annoying and unnerving, like the media, just it's a whole thing obviously, but what happened yesterday was really tragic and scary, and yeah, it's just crazy. Well, first of all, I'm a Canadian, so I need to make that very clear too. This is just a random Canadian's thoughts on this thing. I know nothing. I did try to just delve into different information about the whole thing or different things from the past to try to like make my points. But also, this video would have been way better to not be a live stream and to be nicely edited and put together and my thoughts be edited concisely together. But I've said this so many times, I'm not good at the editing thing. For like long videos, I've been doing these shorter kind of silly videos, but also it being a political thing, like I don't know if I would ever post it. Like I would start to second guess it if I filmed this as a regular video, and then I would just never finish editing it, for one thing, because I'm a perfectionist, but then also I might just get more stressed about posting it, which I don't need to be. It's ridiculous. But the thing is, in the West, like, it's just people get really, there's certain people that get really upset if you don't hate Trump, which is, it is what it is. I don't necessarily love him, or like, I'm very impartial, I feel. Like, I don't trust any politicians, or like, for me, you don't really know what's going on. And there's definitely a lot of things that Trump has said that have, rubbed me the wrong way. There's a lot that he's done or said though that like hasn't, and so yeah, I'm just not one to like, I could never fully endorse any politician ever. And then like, this is the space for nuanced conversation, and it's just hard when things like, you can't be nuanced. Like, people get so upset that you're not one side or the other. But anyways, okay, I don't know. There was stuff about what happened yesterday I want to talk about, and then there was other things I wanted to kind of relate it to, and this is just like, I don't know how to get into it. It's like already all over the place because we need to just kind of go over what happened. If people watching this, like by the title, obviously you're gonna know, like, someone attempted to assassinate Trump yesterday, and so someone was killed. Another person, the last I heard, was in critical condition. They seem to be okay. I haven't seen any updates on that, but it's really sad. The person that died was said to be protecting his family, and it seemed like he happened to be in the line of fire and he got hit. And it's just, there's a part of me that's like, what's the point of saying any of this? Like, if you're looking into it, I'm just repeating things that we already know and other people have already like said, but I don't know, this is just my opinion on things. Like, so it is just weird that the Secret Service did not know of the shooter before it happened, because it was like a pretty obvious place. It seems that this shooter got onto this building, and there was like a photo that I saw from this guy's channel. His name's Mark Dice. I have a bunch of different media things in a very disorganized fashion on this other device here. Like, this was the photo that I saw. The shooter's location, it says, like, was approximately 400 feet, this is so blurry, away from the venue. It's just where there's like one other building right beside. Like, this is within the venue grounds. I guess the other building was not within the grounds, but like there's no other building. I don't know why it was so hard. We just won't know to secure that building. Although I did hear people were saying there was, I don't think it was necessarily Secret Service, but like local enforcement near the building that the shooter gone onto, but not near enough to see him themselves. Like, there's a couple witnesses I've seen at least that saw the shooter, like, before he shot. Like, there was people trying to flag down the Secret Service and alert them that this guy had a gun, there was a shooter, and one of the witnesses is like, I didn't understand why Trump was still speaking when this guy was right there. We were trying to tell him. I don't know if they just weren't paying attention. One of my controversial opinions that I do have is that day there were, I don't know how many exactly, but there was like a lot of female Secret Service agents, which is okay. The point I have, these photos, I just think the people that should be there doing that type of job, protecting the president or whatever, like, need to be fit for the job and stuff like that. Like, I just, by this photo, just the height difference, like, this lady, no legitimate shade to her at all too. Like, this is just my opinion. It's just this sort of like logistically speaking thing. Like, look at how short she is compared to, like, see how big that guy is. He's slightly taller than Trump. I think Trump's actually pretty tall. Like, why isn't he in the front though? Like, I'm not saying too, she shouldn't have been there at all whatsoever, or can't do any part of the job by any means. But thank God that they did get the shooter right away. He didn't have any more rounds, but if the guy was still shooting at this point, Trump's head is just clear target right there. Like, she cannot cover him. And I just can't help but, is it cultural? Is it biological? I just can't help but feel like, should a female really be in, like, taking a bullet for male? Like, I know we all want to be, you know, exactly equal and stuff like that, but it's just like, it just throws my brain off to look at, even like that image in a way. And I don't know, there's just, usually it's like, you know, save the women and the children and stuff like that, because like the women bear the children and the children have a whole life to live. And it's like, at least, like, why, there's a bunch of dudes in this one. Like, later on when Trump gets into the car, there's like 3 females in front of the car at a certain point in time, but like this whole scuffle going on here, I see at least 3 men, this 1 female, there's 1 other person maybe behind, but like, you have all these guys. Like, why didn't one of those guys, that guy's pretty tall too, they're all tall, like, it's just, obviously on average, like, men are taller than women and have more of a build, they have just more body mass. Like, if that lady was just like a beast, just like as tall as the other guys, like really, you know, big, thick, like was actually able to cover the president. Like, okay, but it's like, this is where, like, obviously I feel like the shooter should have been spotted ahead of time. And then even then, like afterwards, like the people, like the protocol to get Trump off the stage, I was kind of like, well, thank God that, you know, they got the guy, he wasn't still shooting, they were able to like get Trump off the stage. Like they didn't actually need that full coverage because he wasn't still getting shot at. But I'm just like, so much was just lucky. So it was so close. It was so close. The bullet like grazed his ear. It was just multiple things that, like, thank God, you know, even though the shooter managed to be able to shoot in the first place, like, thank God he didn't actually hit him. And then thank God that he got taken out at this certain time. So like, good on them, good for the Secret Service for like getting the guy at that point in time. But it was just interesting because I was looking at it a bit. I was watching videos, and there was a video that came up that was the head of the Secret Service, which is a female. I don't know her name, but she was like, this was like a clip from I don't know how long ago, but they were talking about how they were wanting to have more diversity and stuff in the Secret Service. And she was saying that now they have 30% females being recruited, I think it is, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, the video of Trump getting into the car, there's like 3 females at that point in time, and they seem like they're, I don't know, anyone would be freaking stressed. Like, I don't know, if this is sexist, I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. And I'm a female. I get to do this, I think. But I guess people are making jokes that like one of the ladies didn't know how to load her gun or hold up her gun or something. Or, like, also these people, this has never happened to them. I'm sure, obviously, like the last time there was an assassination attempt, it was like, was it 1981 or something? It was Ronald Reagan. So they prepare and stuff for this, but it's like when you're in that moment, it's really, I don't know who wouldn't be frazzled, but I do know, biologically speaking, on average, like women we can be a little bit more neurotic, or like some of that might come in handy though. Like I was thinking, like if you're thinking, you're a little bit neurotic, so you're thinking of every single thing that could go wrong, like everything. So you're just like, what if the guy, you know, what about this little area? What if the guy got up on this building and was able to this? Or like, what if we secured that, but then still he like found this little corner and was able to like get out of sight? Like, you know, that skill does really come in handy. But I guess I'm talking about like life and death situations. I feel like men on average have less fear, and it's more of like this natural instinct too of kind of like what to do, or they just like step up to the plate and they just know. I think it's ingrained in men on average. Again, like there's nuance to everything. Like it's ingrained, like to protect, to be like the protect, to like take the bullet. Like the guy that so tragically passed away, that was protecting his family, like his wife and children, and like there's an instinct there to, I just think it's not as natural for females as well, like biologically. Like we there can be one man left on earth, and I don't my brain is, does this even make sense? Like you only need like one man to continue. Obviously you at least need one woman, but you need like at least one man to continue the human race or whatever. Like, but I guess it doesn't matter because you still at least would still need like one. Like it's just like, I don't know, there's probably like a weird biological thing where obviously like there's because like what if the one female left on earth is infertile? Like okay, the human population is like, it's dead now, but I guess at the same time, it's like, what if the male is like infertile, but like women can only bear children until the 30s. Like, obviously, it's just like, biologically, I guess, strategic for reproduction reasons to have more females than men, like it's a little bit more important, whatever. That was a whole, that was just something that I was like, okay, that's just really lucky. And I just thought maybe having so many females on the Secret Service, like maybe had to do with, this is just a thought. We don't know at all, but like, did that have anything to do with the, how it just kind of, they didn't, that was able to happen, that shooter was like able to get to that very obvious building not that far away, you know? That's just, it's a bit of a thought I have. Like, it's just like the whole progressive thing of like, we want this diversity and stuff. Like, if they are most fit for the job, by all means, if you, but like, of all places, the Secret Service, like, sorry, you're jumping, you're taking bullets, you're protecting it's just such a intense, important job. It's such a liability. Like, at other jobs, it makes sense to like have more diversity and equality and not have misogyny, like just like not hiring a female just because you have prejudice against women or think they aren't as smart or this or that or fit enough for, like, if they can do the job and do the job accordingly. But I do think like one of the criteria you'd think for this job would maybe be like physical stature. Like, are you physically able to protect the president? Can you actually cover him? Like, if we put you in front, can you actually take a bullet if shots are still being fired and his head was fully, there was no coverage, no coverage of his full head. So it's just like, in that circumstance, like, it is not going to be safe to be woke, or it just doesn't make sense to be progressive in that type of way, in that type of circumstance. It's like the best fit for the job should get the job. So again, if there was a female with that big stature, they were like a little bit taller, at least could cover, then yeah, obviously, like, it wouldn't be an issue, right? So but so that was my thought about that thing. I just want to go in order of the thoughts so I don't have to jump back as much. The main thing too, I wanted to talk about the hypocrisy of the mainstream woke media. The hypocrisy is just this whole, like, Trump's been over and over again accused of inciting, say, violence or stuff like that. Like, and I do not think Trump, I don't want to phrase this. I just, my sentences are not working properly. Like, what happened on January 6th, it's, there's a lot of things I feel like Trump did go wrong. And so that's the nuanced thing of it too, is sort of like the way the media covered it, though, I felt was inaccurate in different types of ways. That doesn't mean, though, that Trump did no wrong and this and that. But then, like, I actually listened to his speech today, the whole thing, and he does say, let's protest peacefully and patriotically, da, 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 da. But then he also, like, he starts off the speech by being pretty intense, and he's saying, stop the steal, and he says, like, we will never concede and this and that. Like, there's, these things are quite vague. Like, I do feel like, okay, he said this one statement about protesting peacefully. I, first of all, don't think he should have ever had a huge crowd of people, like, go down to the Capitol. Like, that's really sketchy, especially, I don't think that was, like, from my knowledge, that wasn't planned ahead of time. Like there wasn't this planned protest that was going to be at the Capitol. He had his rally thing or his speech or whatever, and then in the moment, I guess, like was this not planned at all? In the moment, it's like, we're gonna be going down there and that, and apparently he did not even go, but he's like, I swear he said in his speech, like, I'll be down there, or we'll be going. Like, Trump does lie a lot, he does, but Biden and the Democrats also lie. Like, the thing is, the issue I have is the double standard of everything. It's really annoying. So it's like, yeah, definitely Trump lies, but they just, it's completely biased, right? So they like are on Trump with every single little everything, and will blow up. Like, some things, you know, deserve certain amounts of media coverage, like not to be just ignored, but then other things that are maybe more minor, this like get blown to this big thing that, like, if it was Biden, they would not focus on the little like spin, like obviously they'd be like, and obviously like all the news stations are kind of doing, like Fox News as well is like doing the same thing in ways as CNN, where they're focusing, like they're both cherry picking, and like it's on both sides. You have extreme behavior, and like you have extreme bias where it's not balanced. Like no matter what, you'll just spin it so that your guy looked good and stuff. So I prefer to not listen to, like, I look at mainstream media for research and stuff like that, but I'm not a fan of like mainstream Republican or Democrat news or whatever. Like, you can't trust any of it, in my opinion. So, but it's interesting, the whole like the hypocrisy too, in like, okay, so the January 6th stuff, I do think like Trump really went wrong and everything. The media was really on him and on that event, like, and there's just characterizations that weren't accurate, in my opinion. Like, I believe people were comparing it even to 9/11 or this and that. If it went horribly wrong though, like, by all means it would have been comparable. Like, if people were in that building and just unaliving people like left and right, and full on physically trying to like overtake the government, that would have been absolutely insane and comparable to other terrorist tragic events. And thank God that didn't happen. Like, it's just so hard to even find the legitimate information about that whole thing, because I was trying to figure out how many people died on January 6th, and there's like there's like different numbers, different places you look, but I found this one source, I believe it's called factcheck.org, and I did not thoroughly investigate the source or anything. It's just they seem to have laid out all the different incidents of what's considered like the 10 deaths from January 6th, and but it's like you could do further investigating in each one that it sort of expressed as what happened, but it seemed the most unbiased source of it all, like, because I couldn't figure out, because I just literally was searching and it was getting all these different numbers, but it basically was like summing up, because like there were some police officers like after the event that like unalived themselves, and which is really sad. And who's to say like that could have had to do with what happened on January 6th, but you just don't know for sure. But like people were saying that, like, they were including that in these people died at January 6th type of thing. Like, this article was saying it was AOC was saying like 10 or 9 deaths were from blah blah, like including those other ones. Oh, this is so disorganized, but I wanted to find it, and maybe I didn't even send it to myself. Yeah, I don't think I sent that one, but Yeah, because I had heard someone say like, well, only one person died and it was actually just a stroke and this and that. And so there was a police officer that died the day after. It was saying something like 8 hours after the riot, he um started having strokes, like sort of due to a blood clot, whatever. But then they deemed it like died of natural causes, but that the events very well could have definitely contributed to that, which like I think that's reasonable as well, and that you just don't know. But yeah, the information just got really skewed, and I didn't, I was not able to do the full investigation, obviously, and that's what bugs me. Like I am a perfectionist, and I want to find the full scope of everything, but like I didn't, I wasn't able to find, also it was so long ago, like find all the things that the media was saying at the time. But I'm just gonna say, like, I'm sure the media was like plastering this headline of like this many dead or this many da 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 da, like at times, or and they weren't really getting it right, it was inaccurate. So that's annoying, is just like putting out, they seem to be quite quick to sometimes put out stuff that's in alignment with their side or whatever, that might not be factual information, and then they like criticize people though that do that same thing, like they put something out before it's been fact checked in a way, like it's just, they just so friggin' hypocritical, and I just can't handle it. And it was just interesting how after the Trump assassination attempt, the headlines that CNN was putting out, oh my god, did I not send, I didn't even send some of the things. Wait, let me just see. I've been texting this other phone. I was using my phone that I'm filming with for content related to this. I should have just been using this thing because I did not send myself on here all the different things. But I think I have one of the headlines. It was like, this is USA Today, so it's not CNN. Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startles former president. Crowd, I don't know, maybe it cut off. It's just crowd. And then CNN ones was basically just saying that Trump fell. It was like, Trump fell. Like, that's why. Like, from the first, I get not knowing. I was listening in real time to someone compiling all these different media sources and stuff and trying to gather what happened. And there were, right after it happened, it was like, you know, we can't say this was, we don't know for sure if it was an actual bullet, it could have been like a pellet gun, or that, like, yeah, you don't know yet, like that soon after. And I wish I had had the wherewithal to also figure out, it would have been hard, maybe I'd have to like calculate time zones and everything. I would have wanted to figure out exactly when CNN did release that article claiming Trump fell and wasn't hit by something. I'd like to see like how long after, like, you know, if it was by the if it was at the point where they weren't sure if it was a real gun or not and stuff like, but he was definitely hit by something. Like, he didn't just fall. It's just so just so far from the truth, like, because they're not just saying appears to have fallen. From my memory, which I didn't send that photo of that headline, unfortunately, to myself, but from my memory, it did not at all say like Trump appears to fall. It's like Trump falls. So they're making this blatant statement too, that I get, like, again, if they didn't have the correct information at the time, so they didn't want to make like bold statements like, you know, Trump shot at with real gun, like when they don't know it's a real gun yet or something, or just even to say shot at when we don't yet necessarily know for sure. Like, there was people speculating that it could have been the teleprompter, like the teleprompter was hit and the glass like hit Trump in the ear and that's why he was bleeding. But obviously they're covering it now, or since they have, you know, fully accepted that it was an assassination attempt. But it's just silly. Obviously it's just so biased. Like, there's just no mainstream unbiased media anymore. So I do just turn to like more individual journalists and stuff like that. One that I like that's more of a like team of people and everything is called The Hill. I don't know if that's on TV at all or just YouTube, but they look pretty professional and everything. Like they just seem a lot more unbiased and reasonable and stuff like that. So I don't know, let's go to my notes here. So yeah, the thing I had a problem with too was it's just annoying that like CNN or the woke media sources like claim to be anti-violence or at least like anti-inciting violence, or they crack down so hard at someone that like they acted like, again, I feel like Trump a lot went wrong with how he spoke on January 6th and stuff like that, but he did say let's protest peacefully and patriotically, like for me it's more about what he didn't do, but also it was like he was really on about like this election is rigged and this and that, and my thoughts on that is like I think there's a possibility that there could have been definitely voter fraud or like the mail-in ballots and stuff like that, like, but I don't necessarily think that the last American election, that was like the first and only time that had ever happened. I feel like it's a lot of those things like tend to happen. It's hard to remember and stuff, but from what I was listening to today, it did seem like at the end, before Biden won last election, like there was a bunch of these ballots that came in that were all votes for Biden or something. Like it was like Biden was pretty far behind, or maybe not pretty far, but he was at least behind by some extent, and then he somehow, I don't know, got these votes that like seemed a little bit like lucky in a way, maybe. Like I don't think that I just don't know. I don't know. I think there is a possibility that there could have been voter fraud, and if it was clamped down on, that it could have resulted in a different result in the election. But the issue I have is it's just like I do feel like the system is corrupt in ways and stuff like that, and I feel like the corruption, or I don't know if that's the, like, whatever you want to call it, like there's the voter fraud and this, that, like I think that the media plays way more of a role in swaying votes in like really biased ways. Like I don't know what's allowed though. Like does mainstream media have a certain agreement? Like there must be some law or protocol or something that like you should not be putting out false information, things like that. I think what they do, they more so just like they don't report and stuff. So like obviously the whole Hunter Biden laptop story and that, probably only Fox News would cover that thing, and these other places, like it just really seems like depending on where you go to for your media source, if you're fully subscribed to that media source, like that is who you'll be voting for, like their side or whatever. And I haven't been alive that long, I feel, to know what it was truly like way back in the day. Was it actual unbiased journalism back in the day, or was it like CNN Democrat, Fox News Republican, MSNBC Democrat, like it does just seem like though there's also one Republican news, mainstream news outlet thing, and then everything else is kind of Democrat, sort of, in a way. And it's also just the cultural influence and like the cancel culture, the like in schools and everything too, like not how it's like this is the right way to think, and this is the right things to believe in, and these are the right ways to vote, like this is the right way to vote and stuff like that, or like if you vote for this other person then you're just absolutely horrible and stuff like that. Like it's just gotten really personal, whereas back in the day I feel like it was more your identity was not completely entangled with who you voted for. Some people make it their identity, definitely, but other people make it, they impose that identity onto the person. So it's like, it's just they have a whole idea of that person's character just for who they vote for and stuff like that. So like tensions are just so high and there's so much pressure, and it's like similar to when the COVID thing went down and stuff. It seemed like there was like the right thing to do and the right way to be, and it was this like, just you get the jab, and there wasn't nuance. It wasn't like, well, what if I am healthy in this, and then like they weren't really allowing, in my opinion, I'm no expert, no nothing, whatever. I just use my own discernment and form my own opinions and thoughts based on that. So just take everything I say with a grain of salt. Like, make your own decisions and opinions yourself or whatever. So, but what was I gonna say? The whole COVID thing, it did seem like certain things definitely were getting like censored, or it seemed like the vaccine was being worshipped. And so, but then it was like, if you questioned, but there's a possibility there could be side effects, like this thing just happened, or early on it was only approved for like emergency use, but it was like, this is what you do though. It was like, you're not a good person. It became this like moral thing, because it's like, you do this for other people, not yourself, and you're whatever. Like, I went to like a freedom protest in my city here, and I made a sign that I took a picture of on Instagram that said, it said like, Bonnie Henry is not my mommy, Trudeau is not my daddy, so why am I grounded? Bonnie Henry was like our provincial medical, what's it called? Like health for my province, like the person making all the decisions provincially based on COVID. She was like appointed, she was like a government appointed whatever person, medical health officer, whatever, I don't know what's called. And then Trudeau obviously is the prime minister of my country, Canada. But anyways, a couple people, it wasn't too bad, it was only 2 people, but 2 people like attacked me for that online. Just was like, they just seemed really angry about it. Like, I got called like immigrant. Why can't I? Ignorant. It was just like, yeah, you're so ignorant, and da, 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 and like just going off on me about that. And then I just responded like calmly with my opinion on, I was very much an advocate for the mental health effects of what was happening with lockdowns and stuff like that. And it was like, you know, can there be a different option besides locking everyone down? Like, if you're old and stuff, like maybe you just choose to stay home, or you get support in being able to stay home and not go out. Like, maybe there's government financial aid if you are still working, but you're like a certain age demographic in this. And you know, the young people, the detriment of like not getting out at all, like the mental health, and like the young people could be like helping the older people, like maybe dropping food off outside their houses and this, and like, I don't know. And then obviously the like, I just didn't agree with people losing their jobs and stuff, not getting, like, just being heavily pressured to get this thing that was new, that hasn't been, no long-term studies were possible, whatever. I don't know. We went a bit off topic there, but I was just sort of relating the whole, yeah, obviously like the COVID stuff became, so it was political and so that, and it's just like all the same shit with the, you're on the wrong side, like you're not with us and we denounce you and you're bad. It's just all black and white, and that's what's annoying. But the thing that's annoying with the media too is like they will completely denounce Trump and his antics and certain things, and I'm sure I agree with some of the things, other things not so much, and it's like heavily exaggerated. Like, I also feel like if Trump really was, like, you know, he gets compared to Hitler and stuff like that, like if he was really just so bad, like that bad, I just, if he was really that, if he was really giving actual Hitler and stuff, like, would they really need to like convince people that he's that or doing that thing? Like, it's just not comparable. Is Trump a saint? No, by any means, no. I also do think that to be president of any country, like running a country, like you have to have some narcissistic, possibly psychopathic, sociopathic, like tendencies in ways like you would rank low or on empathy. I feel like to like be able to do that type of a job and stuff like that. The whole like to round up how I feel about Trump being president, I guess in a nutshell, is kind of like I don't know. I don't know the actual truth. I can never know, but like how I feel, my just hunch about it, like it seems like it seems like he does. I just have a hard time believing that Trump just became president for his own individual self gain. And oh god, I've been looking here the whole time. That's not the camera. The camera's there. Oh my god, this whole time I've been not looking. I've been just like, okay, that's awkward. Let's pivot. We're pivoting. I feel like I have a hard time believing that Trump wanted to be president just for his own self-gain, to like change the taxes so he could benefit while other people don't and suffer and this and that. And like, didn't he openly publicly talk about the taxes? And like obviously it's a big part of his policy was the tax cuts. And hasn't he been on record even saying things like that he himself knows the loopholes in the taxes, or has sort of done that? That he's kind of the best equipped with the, like he knows, him being a businessman and stuff like that, like he knows the loopholes and this and that. And his thing was like, we'll have more, again, just a layperson's thoughts, so I know nothing, so this could be totally not how it works, but like for America to succeed or their economy to improve and stuff, like isn't it better to have more business in America than people outsourcing? And like the taxes and stuff, when they get really high in the States, people will just obviously outsource. They'll go to China or other different countries because it's way cheaper. Like it just doesn't make sense business perspective wise for that company or whatever to remain in the US. But it does seem like it usually always helps a country's economy to be doing local whatever it is, I don't know, manufacturing, sourcing of say oil or whatever industry, because also shit can go down and happen. And like what happened with whole Russia Putin thing, like, and then they couldn't get the oil as much, like this could be all wrong too, like were they more reliant on Russia like after Trump was out for oil than beforehand? And again, like Trump does lie and like spew, he spins maybe some truths or this and that, and like that is what, when you are trying to get votes and you can't be there is like a way to campaigning where it's like, I'm not excusing the lies, but you will exaggerate a thing here or there also to like manipulate. It is to manipulate. It's just like to get people to vote for you in a way, or you're just like trying to give the really, you like overgeneralize or just like give the really black and white version of what really happened. Like you cannot just go up there and be like me and just like every little thing it's like, oh, but technically like this, but it wasn't so bad because like you just can't do the neurotic thing that I do when you're a politician or whatever. I do just think the whole political thing, like it's a bit of a scam. I think it's not really real. For one thing, it's interesting, like the States, you can only be president for 2 terms and that's it. I'm in Canada, excuse me, and we don't have that rule here. We don't have the Constitution. That rule makes sense because then like no one can become a dictator. it's pretty black and white. It's just, you can't change that. It's just like, 2 terms, you're done. You're done. Like, no one can, but I guess you can kill off your enemies and try to get your people. You could have different people. You could have a team of people that are constantly, like, it's like, okay, it's this person, and then now, like, I do think, though, that happens, like, especially, I've looked into different conspiracies and stuff like that, and some of them are just wild and not true at all. Some of them, though, have a lot of validity to them, it seems, or like there's been actual reporting on it, or it's like a thing that does happen. So one of those ones is the Bohemian Grove, which I am not well versed at all in this kind of, but it's like this, I believe it's annually, it's like this meeting that it's just been known to, they have so many people that have been presidents have gone to this like meeting where like they just bring all the top people, the elites, if you want to call them, but they're more like dum-dums, the dorks. I mean, I don't want to be calling them elites because they're actually not, like, if we give people power over us, like, okay, they're elite to us, but like, obviously though, like, we're stuck in a certain system and shit that we can't necessarily change, but like, energetically speaking, it's just, for me, I've just let go of this, like, oh, the elites, the superiors, like it's hard though, what else do you call them? The dorks, but the silly little dorks that have probably generational trauma and are just trying to like impress their father that just, you know, it was never good enough, it was never enough. They're just like constantly trying to outdo, you know, their father's legacy, and then they're, you know, just always being, they're just like in a culture of like, you know, status and hierarchy and whatever it is, and not all presidents and stuff like that, but like there is just a big I feel there's just a establishment of some sorts of like picking presidents, like, and this is the thing, it's the thing is like the conspiracy of it, that to me, like, it's not that wild to think if these people are really rich and powerful and like obviously they're going to try to help each other out, and they're going to, they have the resources to have like a successful campaign, and if you have the ability to just like convince people of something that you're going to be a great president, like they'll vote for that person and this and that. But it is like interesting, this Bohemian Grove place, like there's, and I'm probably butchering all this because I don't have all the, fact check the shit out of me, please, like I'd love to know in the comments, if you have any resources. Unfortunately, I think you can't post links in YouTube comments. It just thinks it's spam and it deletes it. But President George W. Bush, were they both George W. Bush? The Bush the last Bush, the son, like, was his dad also George W. Bush, or was he not George? I don't know. Was it Bush the first and Bush the second? Whatever. Anyways, the first Bush, apparently at one of these Bohemian Grove meeting things, like they all camp together. It's like this overnight, however long, I don't even know how long it is. That's how much I don't know, but it's just like these weird rituals have happened there. I believe Alex Jones way back in the day like filmed there, because it's been really hard to just get cameras in there. Like there are some photos and stuff, and there's just like weird, I think it's called, people just call it like this owl ritual thing. It is what, I don't know what that's fully all about. You know, people would say it's like Freemasonry shit or rituals going on, or like Satanism, whatever. And like I got all into that. Like I went down that rabbit hole with the whole Satanism shit, but I don't really think that's, I think there's definitely a lot of people in positions of power, even like in Hollywood, that are Satanists and stuff like that, but I don't think that like everyone is in on it and like colluding, and that it's always just that. Like maybe some of these traditions have been they just keep going, they just get passed down. Like I guess this these different, like, this just these symbolic things, like, having to do with the Bohemian Grove meeting thing. They have these different, like, emblems and this and that. Like, some of them have to do with also like Satanistic themes or something, but like, I don't know, they use like a certain, like, what is the horned, at least how much I don't know. They're like, I don't know, these figures are also used in different like, maybe is it Antichrist, whatever, groups and stuff like that. Or like, I just find Freemasonry, whatever, creepy. Like, I think there's just a whole spectrum to it though too, where it's like, it's not all satanic and this and that. And I just don't believe in like, I don't believe in heaven and hell. So I personally don't believe in like Satanistic stuff, like people like are actually summoning the evil spirit and then having power over people and being able to do that. Like, I do believe though, and think that there's people that believe that, like, they believe that they're doing that, or they have that power, or like they believe in Satan or the devil or whatever. But like, I don't believe in it, but I believe that people can believe in it. That's where I stand on that. But yeah, anyway, so there's like, with this Bohemian Grove stuff, I believe there's like all that sort of thing tied into it because of the rituals they do. Like, they do this one, like, again, it's called the owl one, and they like burn an effigy or something it's called. It's like supposed to represent some sort of like human sacrifice thing, which is like really creepy as hell. Like, it's just, they're burning sticks or something, but it symbolizes that's just gross. Like, and maybe that's not as much literal, like maybe it's just to represent like overpowering the population, the humans, like, oh, haha, like, we rule, like, we get to do what we want. Anyways, what seems to go out, like, there's just a lot of really rich and notable whatever people at that party thing, and there's been like a lot of presidents that attend. Like, apparently so many apparently when a president is in office, they have not been known to ever attend, because it would probably draw a lot of attention there or something like that. But like, past presidents, I don't know how many of them, but like so many. Apparently Trump has not been one of those people. Like, he's never attended or been known to. Like, he could have, who knows. But I do believe that Trump is, like, I guess people call it anti-establishment. And like, I want to be careful with saying certain words too, because I hear them in that and I don't as much look into them myself exactly to know exactly what they are referring to. But like, so I don't want to make a mistake of saying something that like I don't actually think or whatever. But the anti-establishment is just sort of like not part of the establishment, obviously, I guess, in a way. Like, but that's not to say like I don't think Trump, if he's not part of the establishment, like the establishment meaning like I would allude that to relate it to Bohemian Grove too. It's like the people that are kind of handpicked, like, you will be next president. Oh God, I didn't even finish. This is what happens when you are neurotic and just go on different tangents and overthink everything too, and just don't say your point. Did I mention the thing about the Bushes? Did I not finish that frickin' thought that older Bush was on record saying, my son will make a great president, or he's gonna be, I don't know the actual quote, but like, they were at this Bohemian Grove together, and then like the older Bush that had already been president then like announced his son should be president or stuff like that. And like, there's just been people known to attend that become presidents. Like, a lot of people have attended and then they end up becoming president, and it does just seem like they have more of this advantage. And so they're just like having all these people support or prop them up. Like, the establishment to me is the people that are in already, they're all in these different like positions of power. Like, they can pull those strings to it's just when you can't get a freaking job because they're just hiring all their friends and family and they don't know you, it's like you're not getting in. Like, you're not, we don't know you. So I do believe there is not everyone, but there's like an assortment of career politicians, part of the establishment, just like part of American politics, also within Canadian politics, whatever. Like, there's definitely people that just, they get their buds in and people they know, and it's about having a career as a politician, not necessarily doing good for the country and stuff like that. And then a lot of corrupt things happen where they just have such a bias and personal incentive to where they're making and like changing policies based on their own self-interest and stuff like that, or like in cahoots with different industries or tech companies or this, or like they'll endorse them if they, or you know, finance them or their campaign if they then change these policies in favor of those businesses and stuff like that. And so like the person who just wants to continue being a career politician will definitely succumb to do those things. So the whole like Trump being anti-establishment, I feel like he's probably like, he's got his own ways of corruption. Like the way he's talked about his daughter, just so, it just creeps me out. It's just I don't know, he's a freaking character. Yeah, it's hard. Like I hope, like I just feel like back in the day, I don't think there's, my opinion, I don't think there's like nothing to him having these allegations, like women having allegations against him, and he was a big star, I guess, in Hollywood and the culture, you know, with the Harvey Weinstein and the like the culture of Hollywood. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Trump had essayed females and stuff, and that's just so icky and horrible and disgusting. And I'd hope that he's changed, like if he did, like, you know, these inappropriately touched women and this and that, like back in the day, like I'd friggin' hope that he's changed and stuff like that. And but for me, like you can't base a person completely through it's just horrible. Like I wish it just sucks that there's like, and again, I'm Canadian, so I don't even have to vote or anything, but like it's like they only have so many options. I do really like RFK. Is it Robert F. Kennedy? He's an independent. Like there's no way he's can win or whatever. It's just like it's Biden, Trump, that's it. And then it's like, you know, Biden's got his own corruptions and this and that, and it's like hard to weed out the truth and stuff like that. Like I've looked at some of the Trump allegations for sure, and like he was convicted for grape, which is like absolutely disgusting, stuff like that. The lady that has accused him, like the issue is like there's just discrepancies on both sides. Like I really find it, the way Trump in his deposition, like he kept making it about how she was unattractive, like she wasn't his type, and then he freaking mixed her up with his ex-wife. He's like, oh, that's, I don't know his ex-wife's name, that's so-and-so, and they're like, no, that's E. Jean Carroll, like the woman accusing him of grape. He mixes it, he says she's not my type, and then he mistakes her for his ex-wife, which is just like, okay, that first of all makes no sense. And also like, why is that the reason, like you're defending yourself over she's not my type? Like, are you alluding that you would do something like that? She just wasn't your type to do it. A point could be made that like he just doesn't even want to get close to like saying I didn't do it, because it like there's strategy in that, like it brings you closer to the event to actually like have to completely address that act. Just like his thing is like, oh, I don't even know her, I never met her. Like there's just people, he says he's never even met the porn star. Like that's obviously so false. Like don't they have like photos together and this and that, or like wasn't there whole, like it just doesn't make, like obviously he lies so much. Like, you know, he'll say one thing completely, the next thing he says completely contradicts that other thing. But I've also looked into like E. Jean Carroll, her story and stuff like that, and like something just seems a bit off. Like I'm not saying like there's a possibility what she's saying could have happened, but it's like really the way it happened. It was like in a public store. It was like in a store in a public place, and but she didn't report at the time. So if there were cameras at the time, like there's no way you could have whatever. And then my partner had told me that the way she was able to go after him, or like he was able to get convicted at all, like she sued him, I guess, like, is because, I don't know this, again, I don't know anything, but I heard that like the statute of limitations opened for a certain amount of time in the States, like somehow that happened and she was able to whatever, because I think it was in the 90s, like I don't know, maybe it wasn't that, maybe you were still allowed to so many years after, like sue someone for something, like no statute of limitations, but he didn't. It was weird though too that he didn't even have a defense or something. He wouldn't even show up. He just had his deposition, and then like he just, it was really gross that he said what did he say? He said something about like stars, like the culture being like stars, like celebrities thinking that they can just like grab women or something, or like he was like, unfortunately, you know, and I'm not trying to make a direct quote here again because I don't have it in front of me, but it was something about like, you know, unfortunately stars can think they can just grab women, but he said unfortunately or fortunately or something, like he said both, and it was like just disgusting. That what's the fortunate part of it? Like if this is alluding to essay, like if it's alluding to something just like, you know, celebrities think they can score a date with, or they're fortunate to be able to have a date or this and that, but like when it's literally talking about essay, it's like unfortunately, like when you're just, you think you just like grab a woman against her will, like she doesn't want to, it's like, why say fortunately, like why? So that's just, ugh, it's so, yeah, it's horrible, but it's like people aren't completely all bad and despicable and horrible, and I would hope, like, if the things are true, that it stopped and it you know, but that is just, the media will just use that thing over and over, like that one thing and this and that, and then they'll ignore if the other candidate has like sketchy things that have happened or corrupt things as well, like they will not report on that and everything. But I just think, what was I gonna say? There was a point I was gonna make. The whole, like, it's just between these two people, like it's just Biden, Trump. Oh yeah, the whole thing, like I don't think Trump, he seems like he's got such an ego. Obviously, I don't know if he's the character to just be president to, again, I said this before, like for just his own self gain, like, and his ego thing about him could be, to me it seems more likely that he wants to be known as like the best president ever and this and that, like he wants all those accolades and stuff like that, and so he has to kind of do shit to prove that, or like if it doesn't go well, like if he doesn't do good for the country, if it's obvious that he's a crook, corrupt and this and that, like while in office and just doing these tax things for self gain, like, and it's not at all help, like people are suffering, people are worse off and this and that, like I just don't think that's that's, to me, would be my speculation of what I see of this person. I don't know, like to me that would be more detrimental to his ego, narcissistic self, if the country didn't do better. So it's like for his own self gain, like I feel like if the country does good, his self-interest maybe are like the country does good by him, so his self-interest is getting that like admiration or ego boost in that type of a way, right? And so yeah, I do think what I was gonna say about how the presidents can only, in the States, they only have 2 terms, and how it's a bit of a fake thing, in my opinion, in a way, kind of like at least no one can become a dictator, but it's like, how do you really get anything done? Like it does just seem like a little charade every time too, and this, like, I believe the way that it's presented, the way the media reports it, like culturally, like the politics is it keeps people divided and separated. Like I don't know how you, I'm not an anarchist, it's more like maybe smaller governing groups? Like, should there really be one president of this really big, this whole country that has like spans however many thousands of miles, has a population of like how many millions of people? Like, should one person really be in charge of all that? And then again, like, the other fake thing about it, I feel, is like the candidates are already somewhat pre-selected. Like, they're in the know of the people already there. Like, it's just people getting their friends in, or this or that, or you have to be like, it's hard to be more of a outsider. So like, Trump, it seems, is that outsider. He's obviously was celebrity, famous in Hollywood and whatever, but he doesn't really seem to be affiliated with like the type of person that would make it as far as he was able to make it and stuff like that. So a lot of people definitely root for him, I feel like, just for that one reason alone. Is like, well, he's not the establishment. Like, this never happens. He funded his own campaign to win the first time. Like, he funded his own campaign, like, because, yeah, it was just people, I think they see it as it's more legitimate and real. And like, yeah, he lies, but he also will be like his real kind of self. Like, obviously he's like says the controversial things and just makes statements that like other politicians would never do, and like they would just be doing anything they could to get those votes. And it's this like two-faced, wishy-washy thing. Like, I think Trump, he does seem to stick to his guns. Like, when he has a thing, a policy, I delve in and out of like the political sphere of seeing what's going on now, so I don't really know, but it does seem like, at least more so, like when Trump says, I'm gonna do these things and that, like, he does more of those things than kind of not, or like doesn't really change his mind or go back. Like, if he has a policy, maybe I'm totally wrong, I don't know, maybe I don't know enough, but just from what I've seen in my perception at this point in time, is like, even if the policy is like not great at all or whatever, like, it seems like he's a little bit more in that way authentic or like truthful and not as fake, that he will follow through even if it's something that like people don't like or don't want or something. Or like when he wanted the wall built between Mexico or whatever, and like so many people were like not in favor or whatever, but like he, I guess, started doing that. I don't think they finished, but or other things, that the tax cut thing, like he did do that, I guess. And like, I don't know, I'm also Canadian and I don't know, I'm not even in the States obviously to like know that aspect of it like firsthand, what's really going on. It's like hard to rely on anything too that you see, rather like compared to like being in the actual country and experiencing the economy firsthand, or like the taxes firsthand. Like, I know nothing. Again, I know nothing. So comment down below what you think and stuff like that, or if you live in the States and how you feel about the whole thing. But anyways, I just wanted to make sure I said my things. This is like, has been a little bit all around, and I'm sure there was like things. Oh yeah, this is like a main one of the main things that I think I've been like meaning to talk about. Was one of my main freaking points for doing this whole live stream. I just can't seem to get to it because I just go on all these different tangents I didn't plan on. Again, let's just talk again about the hypocrisy of the woke mainstream media. Woke meaning, also, let's just break it down. Woke meaning like super progressive, but super hypocritical. And also like progressive, to me, like the woke stuff is, it's what's past progressive. Like, it starts to not make sense. Like, it starts to come all the way back around and actually not make sense. So to me, an example of that, say, would be like the progressiveness of trans rights and stuff like that, which I'm definitely for trans people having rights, like being considered, it not being discriminated against and things like that. But then like when it comes into conflict with like women's rights or something like that, or just like women speaking up about how they feel about certain things, like, you know, in athletics, having people compete that were born, that went through male puberty and stuff, and it's like not fair, and like the progressive, like the woke to me is like, how dare you even, like, you're transphobic for like making that point. Or when it starts to get real, it's the hypocritical too, is the woke. It's just the freaking the hypocritical, right? It's like, you're anti-science, you're anti-science, and then it's this like the rhetoric and everything that goes on with the whole people going through male puberty competing against females, and then like saying like you're calling other people anti-science in this, you're seemingly claiming you're pro-science, yet you're literally saying like there's no difference, there's no biological advantage. You're like, when they start saying things like that, and then they actually get certain doctors on board that are saying things and do, like, they're maybe cherry picking or like they're obviously like twisting the actual science into it being total non-science and claiming these just ridiculous things that aren't true. Like, facts are facts. The annoying thing the woke do is, so yeah, they claim they're, you know, not anti-science in this, but then they obviously spin, I just forgot my point. They spin the facts, or they don't go on facts, they go on feelings at the end of the day, like for certain decisions and stuff like too. It's just not, it's more about just the feelings, or the, like, they just won't report on things too, that like the factual thing, it's like, oh no, that's because they're so biased and stuff, they'll change the events of something, the truth of the thing, like mislabel it, so do non-factual things for the sake of the bias, right? So the stuff about how like Trump was, the woke media and stuff like likes to go on and on about how like Trump incited violence and this and that, and it was so bad for that, and da da da. And like, again, I've already said I do agree with some like that Trump went wrong on January 6th, and he was not clear. He should have been like adamant what it was, that it was just a peaceful protest, that we're just gonna stand there and da da da, and he did not do that. He was very vague and stuff, and it's so many people da da da. But the media, like the media then, like they like, okay, that is, they denounce that, but then they'll call protests where a police station is on fire, they'll call that protest like mostly peaceful. So I'm talking about the BLM protests. It's just like, facts are facts. If something has gotten out of hand, I get the wanting to not paint a movement or like people in a bad light and stuff because of like prejudice and racism and that very thing. But like, that's unfortunately, like, that's when the movement gets like ruined for the balanced people, like the non-violent people. It gets so ruined when like the violent stuff isn't denounced, and like, you know, the bad apples are called out for it, and it's like this, you know, when people, it's like, that's not what this protest is about, and that, but like that, those protests became about the setting fire to the businesses, and like I guess like the one police station in Minneapolis, or it became all about like all cops are bad. And I watched a video about a cop speaking out. It was an African American cop speaking out, and he was just like, I knew this would happen, and this is not, you know, okay. Or he was talking to like Don Lennon of like CNN, and Don Lennon like would not really let him talk his thoughts and stuff because he was not agreeing with, is it Dawn or Dom? Dawn, I believe. It's just like that. It's not denounced. It's like there was like, they were titling YouTube videos like things are ablaze, folks. Things are on total fire, and they're titling their videos like CNN or MSNBC, I think it was. If they did admit like it went not peaceful, but like the title would be like, you know, peaceful protests until, or and then, like peaceful protests and then dot dot dot, or it would be like mostly peaceful protests at the start, and then we have like a lot of people know this clip, the reporter standing in front of, I think he was standing in front of the Minneapolis police station on fire. He was just basically saying like it's mostly a peaceful protest going on. So he was actively saying this is mostly a peaceful, like it's like why is that stuff not, violence is violence, or riots are riots, or you know, setting things about, like none of it's okay. Like storming a building, the Capitol, like trying to get in there, or clashing with like, you know, not retreating and trying to force your way into the Capitol is that, like, you know, violent, aggressive, like not okay. Setting things on fire, also not okay. And the sad thing too is like so many of those businesses I think were actually people of color's businesses. Like how do you know who owns that business and stuff like that? And the areas and the neighborhoods that these things were happening were, it's just like innocent civilians, hard work. Like what does that help? Like what does that change? For one thing, what does it help? And it's just weird that it's like it seemed to get all this support from the, you know, the woke mainstream media. It's like they would not, they tried to make actual sketchy sketchy like violent things, they try to as much as it's like in the video, like it's on fire, like you can't you can't hide that, but they still try to like they misrepresent it as like this is peaceful though still in a way, or it's like mostly peaceful. Like they do that with that, and then they will make a mountain out of a molehill with like other types of minor types of things. Like I guess where this would relate to, so the woke media in Canada, you know, we'll do the same thing, but like we had a truckers protest in Ottawa, and that just got so misconstrued and stuff like that. It's like, oh, this is actually a total like racist, this protest is all about racism and white supremacy and whatever. Like there was like a few stupid idiots with like someone had a Confederate flag or something, and then someone had like a Nazi flag, which it was just interesting because the person with the Nazi flag, like I investigated into this, and every single news outlet had the exact same photo. There was this one photo, and there was live streams of the thing all the time. Again, I'm talking about like the truckers protest in Ottawa here in Canada, and no one could find this person with that flag. The person who was like had the Confederate flag got kicked out. There's a video of them being told to leave because the protest was not about that at all. Protest wasn't racist. It wasn't about that. It was about vaccine mandates and stuff, and like COVID lockdowns and stuff like that. But the media here in Canada, the woke ass friggin' left-wing media, painted that whole protest to the point where Trudeau himself like accused, he was speaking to a Jewish member of parliament and basically was like, you know, people who stand with like, I do not support, or something about like talking about like I denounce whatever, like people who stand with people who wave racist flags and this and that, whatever. He was just like alluding to like the conservatives in Canada supporting the truckers protest. And then this member of parliament was actually Jewish, so she I can't remember the, you know, I don't know the quote, the direct quote stuff, but she just let Trudeau have it for like, it showed the woke hypocrisy of the whole thing too, or the woke freaking corruption of spinning this bullshit out of nothing, like not a real thing. And then obviously, yeah, it's like that one photo, and someone apparently people were investigating this whole thing. So I don't know if this is entirely true at all like that, but like someone said it was reported somewhere or whatever that like I think they got a photo of the photographer taking the photo of the thing, or like, I don't know. There was a bit of a conspiracy theory in a way, because I don't know how valid this was, that the person who took the photo of the racist flag was like Trudeau's photographer or something, or had photographed for Trudeau. And like, yeah, so I don't think like Trudeau hired that person necessarily, but it was just like a weird thing that there was just like one perfect photo, and the area that it was and the way that they got it up, like there was this media outlet, it's called Rebel News, and they went down to that very location and just like tried to almost reenact it of like, oh, how did this photo get taken in a way, and no one else saw this flag at any point ever. Like there was no other picture, to my knowledge. There was not one other picture of that flag anywhere, and it was just like being held in this like really I don't know, it was like right there, it was up on some balcony area, it was like fully being shown and everything, like perfectly, like it seemed like, I don't know, maybe it could have been a little bit staged, you never know. But they basically called the whole truckers protest because of those two instances. The one person got kicked out for having a Confederate flag, and then one other thing, they found one photo of someone with like a horrible racist Nazi flag. And then Trudeau, that it was labeled as completely, like it was all white supremacy and racist, and that's what the thing was about. Like there's no, you're not allowed to have like a couple bad apples that are being horrible and stupid with horrible flags. Like you can't, like when thousands of people are at a place, like two idiots, like no, you guys are all racist or whatever. But you can have just other horrible things be happening in that, and like the violence is highly ignored. And they tried to also say that the truckers protest was like all violent and this and that. The violence that I saw was an Indigenous woman getting trampled down by the Canadian Mountie Police because Trudeau was able to also enact the Emergencies Act and everything, so he was able to do more intense things to like shut down the protests. Like people were just basically standing there. A lot of people call it an occupation rather than a protest or whatever. Like Trudeau refused to even talk once to the protesters at all, and so they were basically like, we're not leaving. But people just standing at the Parliament Hill, is it? The Parliament? I don't know where the Parliament buildings are. Like they were able to be in these certain zones. Anyways, they shut it down. And these horses came, and this Indigenous lady, also, mind you, they tried to call the protest racist. Someone on like my personal Instagram, like someone was trying to tell me it was a racist protest and this, and like started DMing me, and they're like, these truckers are the same truckers that were being racist at this time, that I don't know if it had to do with a pipeline that maybe the Indigenous people in this area didn't want, or like I don't know what they were talking about. They were talking about like, they were like, these are the same truckers that are racist to Indigenous people and doing this and that. There were Indigenous people at the protest, fully part of it. Like someone had been doing some drumming, I think, as well. Maybe they weren't on stage, but there was like like Canada is so diverse, and there was like so many different ethnic groups at this protest that they were calling racist, calling us a bunch of like white supremacists. I wasn't there when I say us, like I was just watching live streams of it and stuff. But yeah, it just makes no sense. And interestingly enough too, like this person like trying to say I'm all supporting this racist, like it's like, ironically, like if you want to pull the woke card, if you want to fully pull the full-on woke card, I actually have full Indian status. I'm white as fuck. I'm 10% native. I'm like 90%, I'm like 50% Greek. But my grandma was Native, and she, before she passed, she managed to get her full status because her dad was like full Native, and she wanted to get it for her kids, and I'm the cutoff, so my dad has it and my family and stuff, and then I'm the last person. So I actually, like, if I was to pull, like, I feel so, I would not do that. Like, it's like, I'm white, like, I get it, and I, like, the only thing is sort of like, I guess I'm like, my grandma could hardly use the benefits, so I'm somehow making up for that, at least. Like, that was her wish for us to use it. So I did use it for counseling when I was in, like, I you know, if you've been watching me, I'm so done with counseling, but I fought for years to fix my brain and my shit going on. I didn't have this status card at that point in time, like, at all. I did have a Métis card, and then I never even knew, because my grandma had Métis before full Indian status. I had a Métis card, but I didn't even use it for counseling ever. I didn't even know that I could get counseling with it. And then I have a friend in town that gets a certain amount of sessions with her Métis card. I guess certain people, it's really hard to find. There's rules with the full status one too, like, it has to be a certified, not everyone, it can't just be like any counselor with their counseling degree. They have to be maybe registered in a certain way or this and that. So the Métis one, I think, is like even more, like, the counselor I was going to with my full status benefits, I don't think I could have gotten, seen her with the Métis. It's like very specific, certain people. But anyways, my friend has a counselor that she gets. So maybe I just didn't know. I just wish I knew. I was trying to, like, pay. I just, like, was sucky at everything. Like, I tried to go to school. I was just very mentally ill that I couldn't, could not get through school. I could not hold a job. I tried to go on medication that caused me to end up in the psych ward from a reaction to that medication. And finally, though, when I was in the hospital, I finally did get counseling that was funded. But then I had a shitty counselor there that it just, like, was not good vibes. And then it's just so hard to find someone good. But anyways, so yeah, but if I was to pull the woke card, I could be like, like, you calling me racist? Like, I have a status card or whatever, but, like, and then they'd have to, like, the woke thing too is that they'd have to be like, oh, I'm so sorry if you identify as whatever, if you technically are, like, even if it's just like 10%, but you identify as that and that's your identity, like, I have to respect that. And I'm like, so sorry, oh, and you're so oppressed, and this, like, but it's obviously, that'd be total bullshit, right? But that's, like, it just makes no sense, right? Like, the woke shit gets so woke, and then it's counterintuitive, and then it's just like, God. And there's certain people that I know of or in my life, like, if they saw this video, if they saw me saying things that were maybe positive aspects of Trump, in, like, that they saw me not just, like, hating on him and denouncing all of him and everything, but, like, they would be, I don't want to speculate on stuff that, like, I would never know what would happen because these people aren't watching my channel, thank God, I think. But they obviously, it would just be like, it's not like they would, like, abandon me or anything like that, but obviously they would think it's just, it's like, oh, how could you ever say anything, like, oh, he's just like the complete threat to democracy, just total complete threat to, it's like, it's just annoying when it's like, yeah, he could be in ways, like, again, January 6th already said whatever, but it's like the friggin' Democrats are also such a huge liability with the threat to the democracy, like, definitely. And it's annoying when people do not have nuance, and it's just like, orange man, all bad, horribly corrupt, completely, totally corrupt, like, and Biden is like a saint, like a total saint, like, in their eyes, total, like, he can do no wrong. It's like they get offended. Thank God, you know, obviously the woke media obviously had to admit that Biden was, his brain not be working, you know, efficiently or sufficiently, like, his brain, there's something there, but they, like, completely obviously had to ignore. And Oh my goodness, I saw an article. Oh, who was it? What was this article? Obviously a woke article, and what's it called? Oh, Huffington Post. The Huff Post is called now. It said something about how they should start using AI. It basically said, I just want to see if I can find it. How undemocratic is that? How undemocratic would that be? Is that not a threat to democracy? Is that not? Like the hypocrisy guy, like I can't stress enough the hypocrisy of it all. Okay, from the Huffington Post, or the Huff Post now, opinion. It's time for the Biden campaign to embrace AI. After the president's dismal debate performance, he noted that, quote, he might not sorry, I just want to get to the good stuff. They give a quote. He might not walk as easily or talk as smoothly as I used to. AI could help with this. The stakes of the 24. It's time for the Biden campaign to consider leveraging artificial intelligence to effectively reach the voting public, to manipulate the public with freaking fake videos to deceive the public. Like, it's just so corrupt. It's so stupid. Obviously that would never happen. It's just like the ideas of these people, they can have these ideas and that's fine, good for them. Like, it's a democracy, it's you know, but the fact that, like, they just, the hypocrisy again, right? It's like, ooh, we need to do AI now to show people that, because we can't let Trump win, like we can't let him win, but we're going to do corrupt things, or we should do corrupt things. Obviously, just this opinion of this person that wrote this, like, we should, though, to win, do these corrupt things that we then accuse the other person of being corrupt, and but we need to do it to, like, that is how communism begins, or is, if it hasn't already. It's like, for the sake of the, it just gets so, it's convoluted, the word, I don't know, it just gets really spun the other way. Like, you start to, obviously you're doing the things that you're accusing the enemy of then doing. It's like, no, but it like, it is justified for you and your side. It's like, no, we have to do this though, because it's such a threat to democracy, so we have to do it. Or it's like, to keep everyone safe and everything like that, like, we need to censor speech and to keep everyone safe, to do the right thing for the sake of humanity and the sake of the people, and we're doing the right thing, and we need to, and to be free, we need to silence you. And, like, obviously it's giving 1984. It's giving Orwell's 1984, which I haven't finished reading. I keep forgetting that I keep forgetting I haven't finished reading it. Like, I start a million books and just never finish any one of them. So that's that. But I do want to finish reading that. I heard there's like a movie about it. I would like to see that. But let's just see if I can find any other good quotes in here. It's just, yeah, it's just interesting. The consequences of not taking this approach could be dire. The consequences of someone running the country with dementia could also be dire. Could also be dire. Like, I'm Canadian again. I'm not American. I would never be able to vote in the election, but say it was between Biden and Trump and I had to vote, like I couldn't not vote and I had to vote. Obviously, I'm voting for Trump. Obviously, I'm voting for Trump. Obviously. So if you want to hate me for that, if you want to say I'm just horrible, I'm like voting for basically Hitler, like, okay, cool, I don't give a shit, I don't care anymore, I don't give a fuck. I'm saying I'm being me on this channel, and I'm saying the controversial things of how I feel. That's how I fucking feel. So but again, I do like RFK, and I would just want, the best thing would be like an enlightened person in that position. But then again, like, is an enlightened person going to be trying to get that position or run the country, or like, and I do just feel like the system is so kind of screwed up and corrupt anyways in ways, and that like trying to work from within that and change things for the better, and to like there's just such a misdistribution, is that a right word, of wealth and stuff like that. Like just the whole, I just think it's just fake, and that, like these politicians that really rake in the hay, meanwhile we're stuck with these just like taxes and then more taxes. It's just like in Canada, in my province, that we have this carbon tax, which is supposed to be, I do think we're polluting the earth. I think there's nuance, folks, there's nuance. I do question though, okay, YouTube, flag this, put your little information card at the bottom about climate change and shit like that. Like, I think there is climate change. I don't know, it's hard to know. I don't know how much is caused by the human activity or what would naturally occur. Years ago, I did watch this documentary that resonated with me, that was talking about these like how we have seasons. It was talking about these really long periods of like season, like, you know, centuries long. Like, okay, we're in an ice age period and now we're in post ice age period. Like these periods of times where temperatures on Earth are either like a lot higher than regular or like lower, or we go into these different, like, just because the weather is getting hotter at times or this and that, or colder. Like they used to say it was all global warming, right? It was all global warming for years, and then it did shift to climate change because it's like, well, also extreme cold weather, there's that. Or that documentary I watched that I have no idea how to find it now or what it was called, there they were basically saying the pollution actually causes more of a global cooling effect. That was the research they had at the time. They were like studying the ice glaciers and stuff too, to track those like long seasons I was talking about like, yeah, those that is already natural to Earth, that tends to happen, like ice age period, and then coming out of ice age period, and then more of like a warmer huge length of time. So they were like studying these glaciers and stuff to see like the temperatures way back on Earth, and that we had not, at the time, I believe the claim in that documentary at that time, from my knowledge, from what I remember, was that we had not like exceeded higher temperatures than like that really long wide span cycle. Like there had been other cycles on Earth where the temperatures were higher, I think, even like we were not. So for our like little lifetimes of like, for us it's like warmer than, like, I don't know, we could be in one of those periods, we could not, it could be us polluting and making more heat and stuff. But yeah, the annoying thing too is, I don't even know how the fuck I got into this climate change thing or what point I was gonna make, but I have no idea. It's gone, it's lost. But oh, the carbon tax. Yeah, so here, like the liberals are somewhat, it would be like the equivalent to the Democrats in the States, if you don't know. It's also really confusing because our colors are opposite. So blue for us is conservative, but blue in the States is Democrat, and then red is liberal. Here is their theme color in the States. It's just, it's so much like sports teams too, and that's where it's like a game. It's just like a silly game to me. Like just, and rooting for your team, and just like it keeps the people divided the way it is. Like there's a way to govern large groups of people, or have, you know, certain politics or law enforcement, whatever. Like, I don't know, there's a way to do it that's not so polarizing as it's been and stuff like that. But anyways, the carbon tax, it's like the liberals, or the left wing as you would call it, well, I don't know what I was gonna say. I don't know any point to this. Yeah, it's just like, for the sake of the, like, for the climate, we're gonna do the carbon tax. And for me, it's also like, how is charging us more money on gas, I guess they think they're incentivizing people maybe to get electric cars. Like maybe it's about that. Maybe it's that. Okay, forever I was like, how does that money, like what are they investing it in? How does that money directly help the climate? How does it directly help the climate? And yeah, again, is the temperatures in that, like, is it actually, like, no matter what we did, like, we are just these, like, the earth is its own thing, and it's, you know, like, are we actually having this really, really big impact? And if we changed everything, would it reverse the weather pattern? Like, what's going on? Like, is it even us for sure doing all this? And if we did everything we could, there's definitely other countries like China, like, just that are still going to be using a shit ton of fossil fuels. And so even if we did everything, like, we're going to probably make the smallest dent. And it's just, these things are also so interesting coming from the people that are flying in these private jets. And so that's the fake stuff as well, with the woke progressive people and stuff like that, and the whole, like, just moral virtuous thing. Like, it's what's the word? There's, like, these main words that I'll just forget that are really useful. Virtue signaling. A lot of virtue signaling. So at least, like, I think it seems like Trump doesn't virtue signal. Like, so that's the realness, that, because it's ironic, right? It's like, well, how is he real when he does lie and stuff like that? But he doesn't, the way he lies is, in my opinion, not in the complete sham fake of a way. Like, he's trying to manipulate in ways for votes and this and that, but, like, his central thing he's lying about a lot of times in ways, or fighting for to do, like, the reasoning behind it might be really embellished and stuff, but it's like he'll still do what he says he's gonna do or wants to do. He wants to do the thing. It's not like a two-faced thing, in my opinion. So that's, I think, where people also feel a little bit more trust in a certain politician like that, even if he says some, like, really abrasive, intense things and is divisive and polarizing. But unfortunately, we don't, there's not, like, a balanced, level-headed, enlightened person that's able to get that position. So, all right, we're looking at this AI thing. So yeah, it's just crazy how they're saying they need to, reasonably, some may challenge the use of AI as dishonest and deceptive. Yeah, duh. But the current information ecosystem is arguably no better. It may even be worse. Media, it's just the justification of the, like, well, we need to be dishonest and deceptive for the greater good of what, it's like, no, you're still being dishonest. It's just so sketch. Media outlets like the New York Post have engaged in sharing deceptively cropped viral clips of the president dubbed cheap fakes to make him appear confused or weak. Do they really need to do that? Deceptively cropped viral clips. Deceptively so they're just cropped clips, but they're deceptive. So they're trying to compare themselves. They're like, well, it's no worse than the New York Post sharing these viral they're cropped. Remember when CNN said that Joe Rogan took horse tranquilizer, and they still have not, from my knowledge, come clean about that? Like, they had a whole doctor on there saying that Joe Rogan took horse tranquilizer, which they're so hypocritical that, like, they say it's so dangerous and sketchy that, like, Joe Rogan took horse tranquilizer. Like, he took ivermectin for COVID that was prescribed by a doctor, that were human pills that were not at all for horses. That medication also has been used for animals and, like, horses and stuff. There's also other freaking, like, don't animals use, like, gabapentin as well as humans? And like, there's so many, it's like, okay, let's pick this thing and then say that Rogan took horse tranquilizer. It's like, oh, this thing's also used for this thing. These people are taking this. And then it's such a lie. They still haven't come clean about that. And they used, when Rogan was sick, there's full comparisons, like CNN, yeah, it was CNN, they changed the coloring of Rogan's photo. So it's deceptive as hell. They made him look really pale and like grayish. Like they just fully, it's like what he posted on his Instagram, what Joe posted on his Instagram was totally not the video that CNN showed. They were trying to like, it appears obviously that they were trying to like convey that he was not doing well and he was like sick, and because they didn't want, because he took the ivermectin. And then yeah, it's just like, so it's annoying, right? Like, okay, to make him appear confused or weak. Yeah, like how is, so crop, because it's cropped. Crop doesn't change the content at all of the video. Like cropped, how does that make him look? That's so, and it's interesting. Though no excuse for Biden's debate performance, CNN elected to allow Trump to lie for the full 90-minute debate with zero fact-checking. Biden also lied during that thing, so they both should have been fact-checked maybe. Have they ever fact-checked debates? Sorry, I know I have live chat turned off. I have my comment section open. I will check it after. So when I'm asking these questions, I know I've silence the people momentarily. It's just because this is not meant to be like an active live stream interaction thing. It's just, again, I didn't want to edit, and I wanted to get just these thoughts and these points out and not be actively interacting, but I will be interacting after the live is over, which is like the longest live I've ever freaking done, because I'm getting it out because I have no one to I don't know, talk to about this. So thanks everyone for being here and joining the hangout here. Anyways, the other thing I wanted to just hit home was again, the hypocrisy. It's gonna be a million times the hypocrisy. It's just like the inciting violence thing too, when they say that Trump incites, violence. It's like, it is appalling, like the types of content that has been done on Trump. Like when Kathy Griffin held up the head thing, that was just like, it's just, why like, I don't know, these people that claim to be like non-violent, or they're like really pro, say, gun control, anti-violence, and this and that. It's like, why allude to violence? Like, I get that you really don't like him, you don't like him at all, and this and that, but like, if it was the other way around, it would just be totally not okay at all. And what was interesting is apparently Biden in a recent, where is it? I'm not gonna be like, I didn't even get to use my notes, because I didn't organize this well enough to actually be able to use the info I collected. Like, it just doesn't work for a live stream. I can't find any of the articles at hand that I meant to talk about. Okay. Okay, so Biden made these comments, but it was in a private call to donors or something like that. And he says something about people should, like, just a sec. The quote is, "It's time to put Trump in a bullseye." That's what Biden said. Recent statement. Sorry, I want to see what it was. It was like a private call to donors or something like that. Biden told donors in a private call on Monday. So this is from USA Today. And the headline is, citing his recent comments, Republicans blame Joe Biden for Donald Trump rally shooting. Biden told donors in a private call on Monday that Trump was running from his record and that Democrats, quote, can't go another day without explaining what he's doing. We can't waste any more time being distracted, Biden said, pointing out that the election was just 4 months away, blah, 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 blah. I have one job, and that's to beat Donald Trump, Biden said. We're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in the bullseye. He's got, like, what else would you be talking about when you're saying that? That's just, like, that hits too close to home. Like, that's not vague. They're going after Trump for saying fight, 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 like when he got shot at, when he got hit, and then he's getting taken away, like he pumps up his fist and he's, I guess he said like fight, fight, fight. And there's some MSNBC, I believe it is, news anchor like criticizing him. Okay. Oh no, CNN anchor, this is my note. CNN anchor criticizing Trump, saying fight, fight, fight after you got hit. This is what she says. She's like, that's not the message. She didn't even talk like that, but it's just, I just can't help but do it because it's just like annoying speak. That's not the message we want to be sending right now. We want to tamp it down. We want to tamp it down. Okay. When he's saying fight and fight, like that term is just too much used for like fight cancer, fight this, fight for your rights, fight for freedom, fight, like not alluding to like physical violence and stuff. When he's saying that, it's seems pretty obvious that it's meant in a general way. And I'm sure the, you know, left wing, they use that term as well in the same type of a way, like, but this person's like, we need to, you know, tamp it down with that language. We need to tamp it down. Meanwhile, Biden is saying put a bullseye, like very specific, mind you, very specific, okay? And Trump just got hit. This guy just survived. It was very close. It was very close. Like, it was really sketch because it's just insanely lucky that he's not dead right now. Because, like, right there, or I don't know the specific location of the ear, but it's so fucking close to your head. And there was multiple shots, and like the person just happened to miss, luckily, right? So, and this just happened, and this person, it's just like, he's obviously just gone through, like, it's traumatic. And she's criticizing, it's like, we need to we can't be doing that. It's like, people can't be shooting at him though. Like, people can't be shooting at, like, I didn't watch the whole clip or anything, but it's like, are you even denouncing him being shot at? Like, obviously they're like, oh yeah, they're reporting on it, just like this happened, or but it's like, you're critiquing someone in a moment when they're saying a word that is not alluding to physical violence. They're, you know, you're seeing, you're picking at that when the person just survived death, like imminent death. Like, it was so fucking close. Like, a lot of people scream, they like, yeah, and obviously he's like addressing the crowd. He's kind of like, I'm gonna fight, I'm fighting to live. He's like, fight, like, I'm fighting for my life. He's literally like, maybe that's what he's fucking talking about. I'm like, fighting for my life. But this lady is just annoying. Maybe I can find the actual clip because it's more interesting when you actually hear this person saying this firsthand. Maybe I can play the video. I was like watching the, like, Mark Dice sort of do a compilation of different parts.
So,
This might not work.
Check the facts, and I can tell you that this is.
Sorry for the long pause. Yeah. He shows some articles too and stuff. This is also from, oh, is this also the Huffington Post? Oh no, Washington Post. It says, that was in 2023, that was in December. It says, yes, it's okay to compare Trump to Hitler. Don't let me stop you. It's just not accurate though. This is obviously so exaggerated with everything. This is Nancy Pelosi.
Hoping to incite just this kind of event. Lunatic rantings like this.
Just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be. People need.
So that's Nancy Pelosi saying, I don't know why there's not uprisings all over the country. This is just like, he's put together some stuff in clips just about the hypocrisy of it all. Like this, violent talk and stuff from the Democratic folks or left-leaning, whatever. Like, it's just interesting, the double standard.
To start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Show me where protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful. That's from CNN.
Go low, be kicked.
This is obviously from the past. This was over the span of maybe his presidency.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
Biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the
Oh,
gym.
sorry. I should be like showing you.
Some people in the face.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a
That's
bullet in Donald
horrible.
Trump, and that's a fact.
Oh yeah, that one.
People in the face.
When was the last time
The one after
an
this
actor
one.
assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Like, who was that guy? That was on, it's either NBC or MSNBC, and I was trying to find that clip somewhere else, and I could not find it. But I don't, like, is that an actual reporter from MSNBC? Like, he literally says they're going to have to go and put a bullet in Trump.
People in the face.
When was the last time?
Sorry, every time I rewind it goes way back.
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
This is a Snoop Dogg.
Here's the supposed president of the United States.
There was like a Snoop. He didn't show the Kathy Griffin thing because maybe, honestly, it's like too much for YouTube. But yeah, there was like I don't know what that is. The Snoop Dogg. He's like totally alluding to like assassinating him, and it's just there's all that violent like talk from the one side, but obviously, yeah, those people try to portray themselves as the peaceful, non-violent ones, and it is surprising that, like, I almost feel like it would have been more likely for an assassination attempt to happen when Trump was in presidency, but at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, the first time he got in, and people were so upset and this and that, and it's almost like people are probably more angry the thought of him getting in again. Like, tensions are probably like even higher than when he was in a way, and so I don't know, he just has to be really careful, and that was just such a close call. But it's just disgusting because I've seen at least one TikToker. It's featured in this video by Mark Dice. This video, by the way, is called Triumphant, and it's the latest that guy. I don't know, you can't really see him, but that's his name there. It's blurry. He featured like a TikToker being all upset that that they missed that Trump wasn't killed. Like, it's just so disgusting to be. And there's I was listening to someone that when I was listening to all the coverage, I can't remember his name, but he doesn't like Trump at all in this, but he's like unbiased, he's like level-headed, and he was really denouncing like any comments he was getting that was like being upset that Trump didn't die and stuff like that. He was like, you can leave right now, and this, and like I listened to like all different and again, like I'm impartial to the whole thing, but if I had to choose, you know, Biden or Trump, and I had to vote and I could not vote at all, like I would vote for Trump. So but I'm not on one side or the other. There's a lot of things with the like Republicans or like right wing or this and that. Like there's a lot of things that I really don't agree with there. There's some things I agree with. There's things I agree with on the left. A lot of things I agree with on what you'd say left wing, and a lot I don't agree with. But the whole thing too has just like migrated anyways. Like what's considered left wing or democratic or liberal or whatever is not actually anymore what it is, because it's like coming all first full circle like around where it's becoming it's becoming the thing that it used to stand against in ways like, you know, freedom, liberty, whatever. Was supposed to be like, I think, again, I'm not an expert with any political anything, honestly, liberal values and stuff like that. It used to be liberty and freedom and this and then like it just has gotten like it's kind of meaningless at this point, honestly. Like what's left wing, what's right wing, like people, because I made videos talking about the gender stuff and like how I felt as a female, and with that I made little TikToks. I made TikToks about like people, like woke people getting all upset that like if someone doesn't think that there's like infinity genders, like, and I've said this before too, like I'll use people's pronouns. I just don't believe that there's different gender. Like I don't believe that gender's like this separate type of a thing. I believe there's such thing as like someone can have their like identify as something else other than their biological sex. They have like an identity thing, whatever, but like I don't, why? And everyone, God, every day I don't check my comments every day because it's just like it's too much for me, but every time I delve into my comments, like all of my comments, so stuff on old videos, there was a video I did called Don't Call Me Sis, I'm a Woman, I think is the title, and it's because there was like this person who did a TikTok. They were talking about a comment saying it was a female saying something like, but I don't want to be called cis or something like that, or why do you insist on, if I don't want to be called cis, then they were just like saying why is it necessary to call me cis or something like that, like when I don't want to be, or this or whatever, I don't know. And then this person was basically insisting that like they have to be called cis because of the privilege and everything that it illustrates, and that, and you know, cis women have the privilege to, you know, go out in the world and not have to and so my thing is, because I extensively have researched the gender theory stuff, I've extensively researched it, I looked into like what it means, what these people, like their resources and what they believe and this and that, and like I just can't hop on board with gender theory, like the whole scope of what, I don't know, you can look into the whole thing, like there's a difference between that but using people's pronouns and respecting people and everything like that. There's a difference between like, yeah, I don't believe there are these like separate gender things, and like the whole gender theory thing was sort of founded by this guy that did this like research that was this really just like demented, disgusting, creepy ass abusive doctor. Like he basically abused these twins. I don't know if I want to go into the whole thing, this live stream's already so long, but like the founder, what's his name? See, I don't know, I don't have my information here, so again, take everything with a grain of salt, but there was this study done where this like gender theory stuff, or at least a lot of it comes from, is this study where one of these twins, there was a like a botched circumcision happened, and they lost their part there, their limb there, like one of these twin boys. And so this doctor guy was like into this, he had these beliefs about gender and stuff like that, and a theory that it was just all pretty much cultural, that you're conditioned or something to be, I don't know, that if he basically said if you raise the advice of this doctor somehow, and I believe this was like a Canadian family, honestly, I might be getting that wrong, but the guy went on Oprah that this happened to, the one twin that had like the botched circumcision, he actually was on Oprah, and unfortunately he unalived himself, and I believe as a result of, like, it did seem like he was very, very tormented because basically the experiment didn't work. Like the family tried to raise this boy as a girl because he didn't have his part there, so they like raised him as, I guess, to be trans so that he could, I don't know, because because he didn't have a PENIS, I don't know what the YouTube, flagging, whatever, because they didn't have a PENIS, they made it into a VAGINA, I believe, and then tried to raise him as a female, and the other twin nothing happened to the other twin, so like they just raised the other twin as a boy normally and everything like that. So this like doctor was kind of studying like culture, like if this boy is raised as a girl, then like there'll be no, like he'll just be a girl or something, or like that will be his gender identity or something, was the thing, is like he'll have that identifier because he wouldn't have been like socially conditioned to like be a boy, like to have that like boy gender identity. So, but it didn't work because like apparently though the guy deemed it a success or something, and then like it almost seemed like the papers kind of get lost, like he wrote about it and this and that, but then the truth of it all, it did sort of come out. But this isn't like I don't know if people specifically celebrate this doctor or they just don't know that the gender theory stuff kind of traces back to this guy's theories, and like I don't know if they don't know or just like got lost in translation in a way, or I don't really know, but it like the idea kind of came from there, it seemed, in a way. It became its own thing though, like separated from that guy or whatever. And yeah, anyways, yeah, the boy felt like a boy and wanted to change back and this and that. And so the whole thing, when I mentioned my video called like to not call me cis and stuff, and it was basically saying to like, if I'll call you by what you want, I'll use your pronouns and stuff like that. So, but why can't I then if I don't want to be called cis or whatever, like I have no problem using your pronouns, that like, so it's kind of hypocritical. And then I get these comments constantly about how it's like, well, cis just means not trans, that's all it means is not trans. So, and I don't get the like issue and this and that. And so I probably didn't also thoroughly explain it in the video, and it was like a minute-long video, and I was just like saying some things quickly and that, but I've been commenting back to sort of these people explaining further, because in the video I think I say that I don't even fit the definition of cis in that, because like my gender identity like doesn't like align with my biological sex, or like the cultural, there's a official definition, I think it was from like the American psychologist, maybe not, or maybe it was like the Canadian one, and in there it was basically saying like the I don't know, the whatever. I should have been way more clear too, because I basically was like saying certain characteristics of myself that don't maybe fit female or woman as much, or just experiences I've sort of had, like, because I also said that because the guy in the video was basically saying like, you've gotten, no, you need to be called cis because you've gotten to walk through the world with this privilege of not having to deal with, or you've been able to just be accepted as how you are, and and so I was not in ways accepted as, like, I literally was told I should have been a boy, and a firefighter told me like, you shouldn't be firefighting because you're female and this and that, and I don't know, there was like, I just didn't fit the profile of the thing. So I guess the definition I found was like alluding to like the cultural expectations and stuff like that of your gender identity, like you align with that in a way. I don't know, but it's more so like the legitimacy of it, like it's that cis, like it's that you have a separate, this is my opinion, whatever, like it's a separate gender identity that like aligns with your biological sex. I don't identify as cis, or I get to, if everyone gets their fucking identity, don't I get my own? Don't I get my own? Okay. What if I, as a, what you call cis person, like I don't identify with that, because to me, for my experience, like my gender, my biological sex are synonymous to me. Like that's how I feel. That's what I believe. Like other people now would say, like, because of gender theory, no, everyone has like a separate gender. Like, what if I identify as not having a separate gender identity? So there's nothing aligning with the other thing. Like I don't wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm continuing to woman, like my gender identity is gender identity today as a woman, and then I also have the biological thing of a woman, and it's like I'm just a woman. I'm there's not that separate thing that happens to align, because like what they say is like, oh, it just means like same, like cis means you have the same basically gender at like, and they also don't even really, a lot of the times this definition doesn't say gender identity, it just says gender. It's like your gender aligns with your biological sex, your gender. Like I don't believe in like what people are calling different genders, their identities, their things. My belief is, sorry, I don't think frog's a gender. I don't think frog's a gender. I'm fucking denounced me as a bigot. Like I don't, I'm sorry. I don't think frog is a gender. If you want to be called frog, if you're an adult, I've said this before, with children, I do have a bit of an aversion of using any which pronoun. Like I haven't come across anyone to make this decision, but like with children, I feel like at a certain age of development, it can be detrimental to obviously confuse children with like thinking that they can be a cat or some shit like that. So maybe a child, I am not going to use the cat pronouns or shit like that, but like a full-fledged adult, okay, you are eccentric, you are doing your thing, good, like whatever pronouns you want, like I'll use them, but sorry, I don't think you're actually a frog, or I don't, like I've had that debate on my TikTok, that I don't know, there's something hateful about like not believing their thing, or just saying and expressing like, okay, I don't believe there's all these genders, but like I'll call you your thing, but like I just don't, I get annoyed about like the imposition of this belief system, this theory. It's literally called a theory. Why are we treating it like science? Why are we treating it like science? And then we're treating people like it hasn't been the issue to with that theory, like where it gets murky or sketchy or detrimental in ways that like I like to call myself in this moment maybe some sort of advocate for that. Like what I was trying to do was be an advocate for basically tomboys like myself, because I did go through a certain period of time and extent in my life. It was a bit of a blip. It wasn't too intense, this and that, but there was definitely like my developmental years in a way. I did feel like a boy. I would say I would never know what it actually feels like to be a boy, but I had some level of dysphoria and then I was scared of puberty, and I felt really icky in my body. And for me, it was like, it's a lot different to someone who has true gender dysphoria that like doesn't go away ever and this and that, but like there's different forms or reasons for gender dysphoria. There's different causes. So the issue, I'm getting all riled up. The issue, folks, is like when everything's treated as this like one definite cause, like, oh, it's because they were assigned female at birth, but they're truly like they're a boy because like everyone's just assigned, and we can all have these separate identities, and it's always that thing. I don't believe that. Okay, so it's like a lot of women, luckily not for me, but there's a lot of women that have gone, it seems like, through transition or experienced gender dysphoria, caused them to go on hormones and this and that. They were SA'd, they were maybe raped or something, and it's like it can be a reaction to that, or like they feel they have uncomfortableness in their body, a dissociation in general with their body or something like that, and it can get confused with like maybe being trans or gender dysphoria in the context of like it's unfortunate these females have gone on hormones and that, and then they decide they like, and I'm just like, is this live stream gonna just like cut off because it's way too long? But it just sucks. You can't actually reverse it, and that's the annoying thing with the wokeness, claiming to be, you know, to know the science and stuff at times. And it's just hard too. Like, I don't really want to put everyone in a box of like, because there are people who were maybe felt a certain way about the science at one time in one context, and then they're different in some other. But like the woke theme though does seem to be like to hop on board to like like I support the current thing, or like I support the progressive thing, like this is the right thing to think. So like generally, like a lot of times woke is sort of like always supporting the socially accepted like right cause, or the opinion that has been approved by the woke themselves, this and that. But yeah, it's like not everyone, you know, always acts in the same way. It's sort of like, oh, well, I support this thing or believe this, but this other thing I don't, and that. So like I am at times probably, you know, putting people into a box where it's like, oh, when this happens, this is hypocritical because like at this time you said this or supported like the science thing, right? Like, you know, maybe there's some woke, you know, people, woke following people that weren't being all weird about the science during, I don't know, attacking people for just questioning things, like reasonable things, like things need to be tested and tried and this and that, like, you know, they're just like screaming like you're anti-science, like maybe they weren't. And so I don't know, that just makes no sense. That makes no sense. But I just, yeah, for the sake of, yeah, I don't like to put people in boxes, but woke is not like, I know I say woke people, but it's like, I'm gonna clarify that as like people practicing wokeism, but I'm not, because I don't want to make it the person at all too. But I'm not going to be able to say people practicing wokeism every time probably from now on. Like, it's just a lot to say. What's an abbreviation for that? People, PPWs, the PPW. It sounds so silly, but maybe that can be the thing, because I don't want to like like be like you're woke. Like that's the issue too with like the division and the separation too, is being like they're woke, they're not, whatever. But it's also just like you're partaking in this thing. That's how I see it. It's just easier to say like a woke person or whatever. But at the same time, like I'm not gonna denounce you. Like if I disagree with you and this and that, like I'll still have a conversation. I won't be like, oh, you're woke, I can't, you're one of them, or that. It's like, no, I just want to get through to you. I just want to like sit and, excuse me, you can say your thing and I'll listen, but like, can I also say my thing? Can I? And it's like, no, you're a bigot, I can't talk to you, you're too bigoted, and like, it's just annoying because, yeah, I don't know, I know there's the whole thing with the gender stuff, and if you, anyone watching this might not know that I have a TikTok called Diane Rhea, because I made a poo person character, like, it's my thumbnail, so, and I've been on a whole hiatus, because I've been planning on returning, because I want to do like a bit of a documentary style coming back video, like, and a bit of a twist on the whole thing. But before I like took a huge hiatus from that channel, someone was like calling me transphobic for my poo video and stuff like that. And then I offered to have a conversation. I was like, oh, they were making videos about me and like my content, and then like implying certain things about me and my intentions, and then it was just like, yeah, they were like taking clips and this and then saying it's just like stuff that's not true about me. And I offered to maybe have a conversation to just like discuss or talk about it, and then they refused. They basically were just like, that's hard to believe when you're, what did they say? I don't know. They basically rejected my invite to actually talk with each other. That's what I was alluding to when I said conversation. That was what I was meaning when I said conversation. And then they just rejected that by being like, well, that's hard to believe when you're something doing this and that you, like, they basically, it was kind of just like, I can't talk to you if this is how you are, like, still just like not giving me a chance, just like perceiving me just through my videos and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, that's not gonna happen. So I went on making a response to their last response to my video in my sarcastic way with my character as a joke. They were basically, I basically was calling them poo-phobic and stuff because it was really offensive to the poo self community, what they were doing and stuff like that. And then they made another video about me and then showed like the comments, failed to show the one where they rejected my invite to have a conversation. They showed my comment saying, you know, I'd be open to conversation if you wanted to, whatever. They showed that, and then they were just like, oh, so you say you want to have a conversation, but then you just make a video, like, or yeah, you just dress up you hide behind your character and do this, and like, you're sure you want a conversation. So they spun it because they didn't reveal that they like shut down my invite anyways. It's like, okay, you still responded saying all these like things about me and myself, and then they started that video off too just saying sort of like, it's sad that we couldn't have like a, what'd he say, a dialogue or something, like an actual dialogue, like you had to hide behind your character. It's like, dude, I asked for conversation, not like, let's just keep making videos back and forth to each other talking about, like, not talking with each other. So yeah, it's just like the PPWs, the people practicing wokeism, what the main annoyance is also just like the refusal to associate with someone who's not PPWing. And so I don't know what this tangent was. I guess I just let off some feelings that have maybe been balled up. The TikTok that I've been talking about with my character as well, the annoying thing was the last response too that I said to the person, like, just it was doing so well too. I think it was getting up to, like, I hadn't posted for that long at all. It was getting up to like 200,000 views or something like that. And it just it got like censored, it got flagged. And then I disputed that because on TikTok you can have it manually reviewed. So like, it seems like the system picks up on keywords or this and that, or maybe if you're getting a ton of reports, like people are spam reporting or something like that, like maybe it automatically gets taken down. So I disputed that, and it was up again. It was fine. It said that I didn't break any TikTok rules because I literally was just there in a poo suit saying, this is poo-phobic, this is poo-phobia. Those are the only words that I was saying and stuff. So I was like, obviously though, being what is it, satire or whatever it is, like that my videos were doing that satire type of thing. And just sort of like, my videos were meant to emulate the hypocrisy of it all. But yeah, this person like misconstrued that too, like took it literally and saying I'm all like transphobic, whatever. So anyways, the video went back up, it was fine, and then shortly after, removed again, could never get back up. And that's happened to a few of my videos, and I've tried my hardest to contact TikTok, and they never answer. They just don't answer you. They pretty much only have they have like an automated system, it seems, and then they have like, you can submit a ticket or something. You cannot, I tried so hard, you cannot, it appears, like, actually directly email them. It's all just an automated response, basically just telling you to go into the app and like create a complaint in the app or something that someone's supposed to, like, no one has ever responded. Maybe I should check back now, but I didn't get any notifications. So, but yeah,